of this lecture is to provide you with some considerations about what could be the key ingredients needed to foster a local entrepreneurship ecosystem. Early-stage startups are highly dependent on their surrounding startup ecosystem. Let's call it the external factors. If we can create healthier startup ecosystem, we can generate more successful startups. Once we address the internal factors that could affect startup success, we need to turn our attention to external success factors to quantify how they affect a startup's ability to succeed. In doing so, since the 1980s, cohorts of researchers and policymakers have tried to discover Silicon Valley's secret of success, if any. What I personally learned is that the world is not flat when we talk about innovation, which means you don't have to be in Silicon Valley today, but we have to work to create local ecosystems, and it takes time. In his landmark book, Startup Communities, Brad Feld says that it takes about 20 years for a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem to develop in a city or region. Building on prior effort, Israel and Singapore implemented innovative and aggressive policies in the 1990s to spur the growth of their startup ecosystems. When we talk about ecosystems, we tend to focus mainly on the hardware, internet connections, quality of building, local policies, and it's true, these things are important, but we overlook the most important factor: human behavior in innovation ecosystem. Human systems become more productive the faster that the key ingredients of innovation, talent, ideas, and capital, are allowed to flow throughout the system. People with ideas, people with talent, people with capital. Today, the key rate limiter is how quickly people and resources can be assembled together to solve problems and find solutions. Innovation can be sparked to life by a particular combination of people who happen to have ideas, talent, and capital. The key idea is that human systems become more productive the faster that the key ingredients of innovation, talent, ideas, and capital, are allowed to flow throughout the system, as stated by Wang and Horowitz in their seminal book, The Rainforest. So, how can we lower the invisible transaction cost caused by social barriers based on geographical distance, lack of trust, differences in language and culture, and inefficient social networks? These costs make the difference between an entrepreneur who has to make 30 phone calls and 20 meetings to get a first deal done versus one who can get it done with 5 calls. To overcome this transaction cost, we need a set of social behaviors. These social behaviors are the mechanisms that are necessary to maximize the free flow of talent, ideas, and capital. Institutions such as startup incubator and accelerator and some actors can help entrepreneurs make those connections that can lower their transaction costs and promote greater innovation throughout the systems. Mentors and previous entrepreneurs can play a key role bridging between social networks to bind greater communities together. Let's think, for instance, on how corporates and startups can collaborate when there are cultural and language differences, with people not understanding each other. Corporates are familiar with traditional management that focus on exploitation and efficiency, and less with the entrepreneurial management that must address exploration with different metrics, the kind of environment that is very familiar to a startup. As previously mentioned, the rainforest model highlights the role of keystone, individuals and institutions that act like brokers of social trust. We need entrepreneurial density, which means numbers of entrepreneurs plus numbers of people working for startups or high-growth companies divided by adult population. Startup experience is also a key driver. Over time, an ecosystem and its labor force accumulate know-how through the successful development of startups. This experience at the very beginning includes entrepreneurs sharing their experience and knowledge of forming and structuring a startup, the customer development and lean startup methodologies. Later, it is about sharing expertise on how to grow and scale a startup, how to build a scale-up, both from a technical and from a business perspective. This expertise is built in the ecosystem through the accumulation of exit, investment, partnership with corporates, international soft land programs, or collaborations with science park and incubators, which over time drives up ecosystem performance. We need corporates that are eager to collaborate with startups. We need universities with students, professors, research labs, entrepreneurship programs, and technology transfer offices. We need investment capital. We need mentors that gain experience in corporates or as entrepreneurs who know startups, methodologies, and culture, and last but not least, common values rooted in how to learn to get along. A community eager to start conversation with new people, open to sharing information and ideas, eager to collaborate, and with a rapid style in which new ideas are embraced and attempted. So, from my perspective, if you want to build a fertile ecosystem, start from people, the human capital, the only thing that can make a huge impact. Doing this, you need to be curious and open. You have to become a keystone or help organization to act as a keystone.